the special CBM round. Some of the other overall steps I've already mentioned to you. India's exploration acreage to 0.5 million square kilometers by 2025 and 1 million square kilometers by 2030. No-go areas have been reduced by almost 99%. 10 lakh square kilometers areas now free in the EEZ for ENP activities. As on date, total operational area active under nomination, pre-NLP, NELP, CBM, DSF and OALP help is 3.27 lakh square kilometer. There are certain other reforms we carried out. Crude oil deregulation, June 2022 earlier, reduction in natural gas flaring, 2.7% to 2% during the last 2 years. We moved to model revenue sharing contracts. Over 50 amendments have been made to MRRC. Revised domestic gas pricing guidelines based on 10% of Indian crude basket. We did that in April last year. National data repository, you know about. Several MNCs like Chevron, ExxonMobil, Total Energies, they are showing keen interest to invest in the Indian ENP segment and have purchased data from the National Data Repository. Exclusive Economic Zone data acquisition, 80,000 lakh kilometers, 2D seismic data up to EEZ. All these details I'm going to give you. But another important requirement is कि जहाँ पे भी हमारे operators हों उनके साथ जो disputes होती हैं, they should be amicably resolved. 50 disputes with various ENP companies have been resolved during the last 1 year. We have resolved small operator issues such as PSC extension of 10 years. We have launched the OALP 9th bid round. Now I want to come to one of my favorite areas, which is the transitioning. देखिए 2014 में जब माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दायित्व संभाला उस समय हमारी बायोफ्यूल ब्लेंडिंग was around 1.4%. Some people tell me it's slightly higher, 1.5, 1.6. But of all the estimates I've gone, see, there's nothing beyond 1.7%. I think it's more 1.4 to 1.5. We had a target of 10% blending by November 2022, 23 or 22? 22. We did that 5 months in advance. Then we had a target of 20% blending by 2030. We brought that target forward to 2025. आप पीछे आपने कई कहानियां सुनी, आपने कुछ कहानियों को एग्जैजरेट भी किया कि यहाँ से फीड सप्लाई बंद हो गई, वहाँ से वो हो गया, सारा प्रोग्राम इज गोइंग टू बिकम वल्नरेबल. लेट मी टेल यू, yes, when you do a large scale transitioning like this and you're using diverse feeds, there are challenges, but we've not only met all those challenges, we met our 12% blending target, which was October 23, and we are well on our way to achieving the 20% target by end of 2025 instead of 2023. OMCs have provided additional incentive of 9 rupees 72 per litre. Total they are paying ex-mill is 66 rupees 7 paise to encourage ethanol supplies from maize, apart from allowing conversion from FCI rice and DFG to maize. Maize has been one of the more encouraging story. If you have questions on that, I will request Secretary to answer. We have announced a rupees 6.87 per litre incentive for ethanol produced from C-heavy molasses. ये अभी कोई 3-4 दिन पहले, 5 दिन पहले हमने किया. Now the key achievements I want to give you overall, and then we can go on to other things. The foreign exchange we've saved as a result of this blending from 2014 to 2023 end is 78,118 crores. CO2 emissions lowered during that period 426 lakh MT. Crude oil substitution achieved 142 lakh MT. Amount paid to distillers by OMCs during this period, 1,15,623 crores. And as a result of which, amount paid to farmers during this period, 69,374. The point I have been stressing all along is that this is a unique program and one that is very strongly supportive of the economy overall, because as we go down the green transitioning route, we are also compensating our farmers. And at a time when the farming sector faces a number of challenges, I think this is a solid support. And as we go to 20% blending, मुझे अभी exact figure याद नहीं है, पर जब हमने 10% blending पे जो हमारी imports bill था, वो कोई शायद 41,000 करोड़ हमने बचाया था 10%. तो it stands to reason, and depending on what the world prices are, जब आप 20% blending करेंगे तो you know how much more, and that will be paid to our farmers for the diverse feedstocks. हमारी जो ethanol supply year होता है ESY 2022-23 में have saved approximately 509 crore liters of petrol. अच्छा, और जो मैंने अभी आपको बाकी दे दिया फिगर्स कितने CO2 emissions etc. बचे, we have been able to save. Number of retail outlets that are selling E20 or blended fuel has now gone up to 9,300. अब मैं आपको याद करवाना चाहता हूं कि E20 blended fuel हमने इंट्रोड्यूस किया था February of 2023. मुझे याद है जब इंडिया एनर्जी वीक बेंगलुरु में हम मना रहे थे, उस समय हमने E20 ब्लेंडिंग फ्यूल की अनाउंसमेंट माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने की थी फरवरी में, और आज एंड ऑफ 2023 में वी हैव ऑलरेडी हैड 9,300 रिटेल आउटलेट्स व्हिच आर मेकिंग E20 फ्यूल अवेलेबल. द अदर गुड न्यूज इज, देखिए ये जो 20% ब्लेंडिंग वाली बात है, दिस वाज अ मेंटल ब्लॉक वी हैड. व्हाई? बिकॉज वी वर टोल्ड कि अगर 20% आप ब्लेंडेड फ्यूल यूज करेंगे तो द ऑटोमोबाइल्स डोंट नीड एनी change in parts. But you know, as the capacity to blend increased, as the production of ethanol from diverse feeds increased, the automobile manufacturers are also on board. I remember I had invited, I think, my Brazilian counterpart, and he came with a delegation of automobile manufacturers, and it's the same manufacturers whose models sell here. And the message was that if they can sell there, they can sell here. So now you also have cars coming on the Indian market, slowly but surely, which will be able to use blends of over 20%. I want to briefly touch on SAF, Sustainable Aviation Fuel. आपको याद होगा नवंबर 2023 में जो हमारी नेशनल बायोफ्यूल्स कोऑर्डिनेटिंग कमेटी है NBCC, in one meeting we decided कि 1% SAF indicative blending target by 2027 for international flights, 2% by 2028, and CBG blending voluntary till 2024-25, and mandatory blending obligation would start from 25-26. अब 1% अगर हम सस्टेनेबल एविएशन फ्यूल में एथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग करते हैं तो कितना 14 करोड़ लीटर हमें चाहिए, और 2% करते हैं देन एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. सो दिस इज अगेन वर्क विच इज टेकिंग प्लेस. बायोफ्यूल्स अलायंस के बारे आई जस्ट टेक अ मिनट और सो बिफोर आई वाइंड अप. दिस वाज अ alliance launched when the Honorable Prime Minister was presiding over G20. Other countries are joining in, more countries are joining in. I think if you have 14 countries and 12 international, 22 countries and 12 international organizations. Now their number is growing up. The activities are increasing. We have a interim committee to manage it, and I think with biofuels succeeding in India, already successful in Brazil and the US, we are slowly but surely heading in the direction of, through the Global Biofuels Alliance, of biofuels acceptance as a traded commodity. That's the direction in which we are wanting to take this. Natural gas sector, lot of steps to increase our share of natural gas from 6.3% to 15% in the primary energy mix. We are expecting an investment of up to 67 billion by the next 5 to 6 years. This 67% breakup we will share with you when these statistics are shared with you. This will translate into an increase in the gas consumption by over threefold from the present level of 155 mmSCMD to over 500 mmSCMD by the year 2030, which is a massive threefold increase. I am now final part of my statistics. If you look at the number of CGD networks we had for gas 2014 में और 2023 में, पहले 53 थे, आज 300 है. कहाँ 53 और कहाँ 300? PNG connections were 25.4 lakhs, today it's 1.25 crore. Number of CNG stations were 738 in 2014, today it's 6,088. CGD coverage population-wise was 13.27% in 2014, today it's 98%. CGD coverage area-wise was 5.58%, today it's 88%. And we have now taken it with the new rounds of bidding in gas, etc., over 100%, and we are even going into the island territories. आप इसके 2030 के टारगेट देख लीजिए. आई थिंक यू विल वन थिंग दैट विल स्टैंड आउट कि 2014 में हमने कहाँ शुरुआत की, 2023 में कहें दोस टारगेट्स लुक सो मॉडेस्ट नाउ. हम लाइक सीजीडी नेटवर्क्स 2014 में 53 थे, आज 300 है. हमारा टारगेट 2030 का 309 है. वी डोंट नीड टू वेट टिल 2030, पहले ही हो जाएगा. आपका जो पीएनजी कनेक्शंस हैं 1.25 crore to 12.50 crores as the pipeline is moved from 14,000 kilometers to 22,000 and is going up to 32,000 by 2030. अपने आप पे हो जाएगा उसके साथ. Number of CNG stations has gone up from 738 to 6,088 and our target is 17,706. Again, I see this happening in the normal course. CGD coverage population-wise 13.27% in 2014, 98% in 2023. We got 100% by 2030. You don't need to wait even till the end of 2024. ये वैसे हो जाएगा. So I'm now going to just conclude by saying the recent launch of the 12th CGD bidding round will cover the balance portion of the coverage area, and I'm concluding on net zero because हमने अवेलेबिलिटी की बात की. आपको कहीं भी दुनिया में देश में पिछले साल में कमी नहीं पड़ी, और कल भी जो हुआ उसकी कारण उसकी कॉजेशन कहीं और थी. बट आई वांट टू गिव फुल मार्क्स टू माय ओएमसीज. उन्होंने जहां भी कमियां हुई हैं, इन स्पाइट ऑफ द कंस्ट्रेंट, दे वर्क ओवर टाइम, वर्कड आउट लोकल सॉल्यूशंस, एंड आई थिंक आई एम रीजनेबली कॉन्फिडेंट दैट जहां पर भी एविएशन फ्यूल की कमी थी वो तो आज सुबह ही ठीक हो गई थी, और बाकी जगह भी जहां पे गैस की होगी, आई थिंक वी आर वेल ऑन द वे टू दैट. पर नेट जीरो में कभी कभी जब मुझे मौका मिलता है बाहर जाने के लिए फॉर इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंसेस, नेट जीरो की बात होती है. देखिए, जब माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने नेट जीरो का टारगेट बताया था, आई केप्ट टेलिंग देन दैट दिस इज द इंडिकेशन ऑफ अ वेरी मैच्योर decision, because our challenges are very different from other countries, but the companies which are participating in this sector, I am going to name my OMCs, इनका क्या टारगेट है? 2070 is a net zero target for the country, but EIL 2035, ONGC 2038, GAIL 2040, BPCL 2040, HPCL 2040, Oil India Limited 2040, IOCL 2046. Now, this is very remarkable, considering where we started, where we are. Therefore, on all 3 points of that trilemma, availability, affordability, and sustainability, we were doing extremely well, but none of it is at the cost of the green transition. And that is what really gives me a degree of satisfaction. I'm sorry I've taken a little longer than I had intended to, but we are open for questions. I think all you need to do is identify yourself. Rajiv will coordinate this. By the way, Rajiv को promotion दे देना और मुबारक दे देना. He's become DG also. So. ने पार्टी तो देगा, वो तो हम सबको देगा बाद में.
Thank you so much. The house is now open for questions. Please raise your hand and ask a question. Yes, Shubhangi, please. Hey, let him start from this side. Shubhangi, आप start कीजिए please.
एक मिनट भाई साहब, आप पे अभी आते एक हाँ.
Let Shubhangi from Money Control, please.
Hi sir, Shubhangi Mathur from Money Control. First of all, wishing you a happy new year. As we progress into the new year, are we going forward since crude oil prices have also come down? Looking at domestic market, are we expecting price cuts? As there are also media reports that price cuts are going to be announced. So what's the update on that?
No, let me start by wishing all a very happy new year. First of all these media reports were not only speculative, but I would also turn around and say slightly mischievous. I have clarified there has been no discussion with the oil marketing companies on any such issue. And please, we are in a highly turbulent situation. Turbulent का क्या मतलब है? There are two areas on the global map which are in conflict situation. Okay? So अभी आप मान लीजिए पिछले एक हफ्ते 10 दिन में we've had challenges to shipping. मैं अपने शब्दों बड़े carefully I'm weighing them. We've had challenges to shipping in one particular area जहां से 12% global shipping traffic निकलता है Red Sea और Suez Canal से. 4 to 8% of global LNG cargoes went through this area in 2023, and 8.2 million barrels per day of crude oil, 8.2 comes. Khuda na kare, if there is a further challenge or there is a disruption, do you see the kind of impact that can be caused? Now, we are navigating this very carefully. हमारी एक तो हमने अपने जो sources of supply हैं वो diversify कर ले हैं, दूसरे कई जो suppliers हैं उन्होंने अपने routes change कर लिए हैं. But in this kind of a situation, our primary responsibility and that of all the other operators in the ecosystem is to ensure that there is availability, and that availability does not come at a slightly, at an enhanced price. A price of crude oil also, I monitor this on a daily basis. Number one, it had gone up to 80 plus, उससे भी ऊपर गया था, फिर अभी थोड़ा नीचे आया. But in a highly volatile situation, our primary responsibility is to ensure availability and affordability. आगे जो करना है तो वैसे ही मुझसे नहीं पूछते हैं, या आगे बैठे हुए हैं अब इनके जो OMCs हैं या अपने, they are answerable to their shareholders, and their shareholders they will determine. But I think you started the first press conference of the year by asking a question, so I don't know, that's an upper one. I think what should be in our mind is that we will lead a very stable, positive, forward-looking, and a situation where everything is available and at affordable. I said that this is the only country in the world where prices have come down. Now, if you're wishful thinking, aage aayenge, pray to God that there's no turbulence, things are normal. So appeal to their goodwill then, but that's not something the government goes and tells them to do. Tell me, I only deal with the thing, and as I mentioned, Prime Minister already reduced central excise duty on two occasions, November 21 and May 22. Second issue is that BJP states did it, some states didn't. But BJP has come there also, so I'm sure there will be some relief. I'm not making a statement there, but I saw cylinder prices going down. But this is something that we endeavor towards, but it's not something I think what happens is that if there are reports like that, somebody says कि भाई हमारी तो इतनी inventory है, वो पता नहीं वो कल truckers के कारण थोड़ी कम होगी inventory, but that's a separate issue. But I've answered the question the best I can, but I think it's totally speculative.
Lakshman from CNBC आवाज से.
सर, मैं लक्ष्मण CNBC आवाज से.
जी.
दो सवाल है. एक तो जो आपने अभी जिक्र किया रेड सी इशू को लेकर के, तो उसमें थोड़ा सा डिटेल में बताएं. कई सारी कंपनियों आपने बताया भी कि अपने उसको सस्पेंड करके उसको कैसे आप उसको
नहीं, देखिए वो निर्णय हमने सॉरी प्लीज सर.
दूसरा सवाल जो आपके जहन से काफी जुड़ा रहता है वो है एथनॉल ब्लेंडिंग को लेकर के. पिछले दिनों गवर्नमेंट ने शुगर केन जूस एथनॉल ब्लेंडिंग पे थोड़ी सी शिकंजा कसा. तो मेरा सवाल ये है कि इससे इन्वेस्टमेंट सेंटिमेंट पर कितना असर पड़ेगा, जो लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट करते हैं, हैवी इन्वेस्टमेंट कंपनियां कर रही हैं.
देखिए, आपके दोनों सवाल बहुत रेलेवेंट हैं और बहुत फोकस्ड हैं, इसलिए मैं दोनों पे बताता हूं. देखिए, जहां तक शिपिंग रूट्स हैं, कुछ ऐसे इश्यूज होते हैं जिसपे हमारी डिसीजन मेकिंग इज इंपॉर्टेंट, कुछ इश्यूज ऐसे होते हैं जब हमारी डिसीजन मेकिंग इन्वॉल्व ही नहीं है। अब जो बड़ी कंपनीज है दुनिया में 4-5 हैं एज यू नो, जहां तक मुझे याद है कि मेनी ऑफ देम डिसाइडेड कि जब यहां पे ये ड्रोन अटैक्स और ऐसी चीजों की शुरुआत हुई, they decided to not use that route at all, and they, I think, chose to use the longer route via the Cape of Good Hope. Now, you need to study that. It means more mileage, but it also means, I think, somewhere an offsetting of the fees. What are they called?
The Suez transit fees.
Suez Canal transit fees. So, balances out. In all this discussion between OPEC, the producers cartel, wahan pe there are fault lines also. I mean, new countries are joining and saying they will not be part of the production cut decisions. There are other things happening, which are more relevant, I think, for a seminar rather than a press conference. But some of these bigger companies have decided that they will come from there. Secondly, you have to look at the motivation. What is the motivation? Abhi piche, there was a lot of hue and cry, and I'm saying this off. I mean, nothing I say is off the record, but you know, we need to understand, Indian ship hit by so and so. अरे भाई इंडियन शिप था ही नहीं, वो इंडियन शिप था ही नहीं. Carrying cargo, it was not even carrying cargo. Indian ship carrying cargo from a particular country was named for us. ना वो cargo था, वो empty ship था. वो Indian ship कैसे बना? Because we have a population now the largest in the world, and we have a lot of our brothers working as mariners, because there were Indians on board, you called it Indian ship. और बाद में पता लगा वो Greek vessel थी, ठीक है, under a Liberian flag, contracted by a party in Bangkok. तभी मैं इनको कहता हूं, मेरे 3-4 खास मेरे मित्र लोग हैं, पत्रकार बंधु, जो ये इधर की उधर सुन के और लगा देते हैं. अब इन्होंने एक और स्टोरी लगाई, बहुत बढ़िया, रशियन ऑयल डिप्स, कितना बिल्कुल टू, वो जो इनका जो सब एडिटर होता है, वो जो हेडलाइन देना होता है, वो इनसे ज्यादा किंग कॉन्ग है. ये स्टोरी लिखते हैं, इनकी स्टोरी में तो मान सकता हूं इनकी जो वेस्टर्न पेरेंट्स हैं उनको कोई मजा आता होगा, पर जो हेडलाइन आती है, एक लेटेस्ट स्टोरी मैंने आज पढ़ी या कल पढ़ी, हम सेक्रेटरी और मैं वी वर लाफिंग ओवर इट. इंपोर्ट्स फ्रॉम रशिया डाउन टू एज एफ खत्म हो गए. अरे भाई इंपोर्ट्स फ्रॉम रशिया थे कितने पहले? फरवरी 2022 में हमारा टोटल इंपोर्ट्स फ्रॉम रशिया वाज 0.2%. 0.2% था. फिर जब वो प्रॉब्लम शुरू हुई, रशिया स्टार्टेड ऑफरिंग डिस्काउंट्स, वी स्टार्टेड बाइंग. मैं आपको बिल्कुल एक बार नहीं, मैं 10 बार कह चुका, इंडिया हैज डाइवर्सिफाइड इट्स सोर्सेज ऑफ इंपोर्ट. इंडिया हैज, प्लीज पुट ऑफ योर फोन, इंडिया विल बाय फ्रॉम whomever it has. India's leadership has only one requirement, that the Indian consumer must get the energy at the most economical price without disruption. अब ये उड़ता खरता ऊपर चढ़ता ये रशियन इंपोर्ट्स had gone up to what, 33% of our total import. कहा 0.2%, 33 तक, 40 तक भी गया, ये बता, 33 तक काफी. अरे भाई वहां पे अगर 40 से 33 आया, उससे थोड़ा गिर गया, 28, 29 आया. Is it a question of payment arrangement problem? There's no payment problem. I keep telling you, but you guys keep inventing it. It is a pure function of the price at which our refiners will buy it. And by the way, if you want to have a separate press conference with my refiners, I'll happily organize. IOCL, BPCL, HPCL, the producers, ONGC oil, please करिए. So all I'm saying is, आप स्टोरी लिखते हैं, मेरे को भी थोड़ी हंसी मजाक आती है, पर आप देखते नहीं, आपकी स्टोरी में थोड़ा सा ट्विस्ट होता है ना, इट हेल्प्स अदर इंटरेस्ट. ओ पेमेंट प्रॉब्लम हो गई. मैंने आज तक नहीं सुना किसी अपनी कंपनी से कि पेमेंट प्रॉब्लम के कारण कोई हमारी सप्लाईज रुकी हैं. अरे उल्टी हिसाब है आजकल, हमें आके कहते हैं आप हमसे और लो. अगर आप उनसे पेमेंट की बात करते हो, क्या कहेंगे? अरे भाई आ जाएगी पेमेंट. समझ गए ना? अब अच्छे गाहक हो गए. देखिए दुनिया भर में, when I say that we are the third largest energy consumer, third largest consumer of oil, third largest everything, we have something called a buyer's position. And a buyer's position means that if we are doing sensibly, that our companies get together, including our private sector companies, by the way, the seller has to come to. एक और मैंने बड़ी कहानी सुनी, बड़ी मजेदार थी, no takers for rupee payment. अरे भाई, एक साल पुरानी कोई रिपोर्ट थी जब हमने शुरू नहीं किया. We have started with only a limited UAE के साथ किया था ना हमने, कितना एक असाइनमेंट के लिए. We've started the process. Instead of saying there are no takers, you should say, for the first time, India has actually succeeded in making a rupee payment. And there are a lot of people who are wanting to ask us, ke kaise? The world is changing. In that, Modi ji's Bharat, the Atmanirbharta we've got, and the confidence with which we are carrying this process forward in the energy sector is something you guys, you more than the others, should understand. And I have a very interesting thing. कभी कभी जो मुझे को लगता है कोई बेवकूफ़ी की स्टोरी लिखने लगा, मुझे my staff tell me, सर वो ऐसी इंक्वायरी कर रहे थे. मैंने कहा they've already decided what to write. तो उन मुझसे पूछते क्या करना था. मैंने कहा give them a long rope. They will write a silly story and then they will tie themselves up. और फिर then the market keeps circulating. ये हो गया, रशिया से ऑयल खत्म. अरे भाई अभी भी रशिया से कितना खरीद रहे हैं? कितने मिलियन बैरल्स अ डे? 1.5 मिलियन बैरल्स अ डे. 5 मिलियन बैरल का अगर अब आपका टोटल कंजम्पशन है, उसमें से 1.5 मिलियन, वो जो अखबार वाले ये स्टोरी लिख रहे हैं और उनका जो हेडलाइन प्रोड्यूसर है, आई सीरियसली थिंक, अब मुझसे मत करवाइए, आई मीन अ फॉर्मल प्रेस, उनका क्या, व्हाट वी शुड सब्जेक्ट देम टू, यू गाइस डिसाइड. और मैं यही कह रहा हूं कि इन करंट भारत वेयर वी आर ऑन द मून, ओवर द मून, जब तक मोदी जी है गारंटी भी है और साथ में अफोर्डेबिलिटी, अवेलेबिलिटी, सस्टेनेबिलिटी, इस सब की मोदी जी की गारंटी है. आई एम सेइंग दिस कॉन्फिडेंट एंड आई ऑल्सो द अदर पॉइंट्स आई मेड विद अ सेंस ऑफ ह्यूमर. Because when I tell some of you, I'm not going to look you anybody in the eye, those who write these stories. Because मुझे लगता है नहीं सर ऐसी चीज तो आप बताते नहीं है ना सर, इसलिए हमें लिखनी पड़ती है. तो मैंने कहा यार लिखो, बी माई गेस्ट. अब ये स्टोरी है, रशिया से ऑयल इंपोर्ट्स फॉल. अरे मेरे भाई 5 मिलियन बैरल तुम कंज्यूम करते हो, 1.38, अगर वो डिस्काउंट नहीं देंगे तो हम क्यों खरीदेंगे? और असली अंदर की कहानी पता क्या है? बाकी लोग जो नया आए वो कह रहे सर आप वहां से क्यों लेते, हमसे ले लो, हम थोड़े दूर है, वरना हम आपको और भी डिस्काउंट दे रहे. इट्स अ हेल्दी मार्केट एंड यू शुड बी प्राउड ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट मोदी जी's इंडिया is navigating the global energy situation with a degree of confidence and with Modi ji's guarantee on success.
Questions from
Now those whom it was aimed at are smiling. Okay.
Can we ask Hardeep Prakash from 80 now, this side? Just one second.
अरे ethanol, sorry, my apology. Ethanol,
sorry.
ethanol.
Right.
देखिए इतना बड़ा चैलेंज है क्योंकि आप एथेनॉल में बहुत स्टेक होल्डर्स इन्वॉल्व हैं. इसमें शुगर, मेज, शुगर में भी हेवी मोलासेस, ये वो सब कुछ है. द गुड न्यूज इज कि अगर कहीं किसी और कारण कोई निर्णय लेता है तो थोड़ी डिसरप्शन का परसेप्शन था, बट वी आर बैक टू दैट. सो जैसे मैंने, इसलिए आई डिडंट गो इनटू इट इन डिटेल. देखिए हमारा जो 12% ब्लेंडिंग टारगेट था अक्टूबर, ये प्रॉब्लम भी अक्टूबर से पहले ही हुई थी, जुलाई में हुई थी. जुलाई अगस्त सब हमने वी हैड सॉल्व्ड इट. आगे बढ़ते आपको देखिए, इन अ कंट्री लाइक इंडिया देयर विल ऑलवेज बी चैलेंजेस, बट इफ यू हैव क्लियर हेडेड फोकस्ड लीडरशिप विच वी हैव, you will not have these problems. अभी एक में अगर थोड़ी कमी होगी तो हम मेज में चले जाएंगे. मेज इज वेरी गुड रिस्पॉन्स. हमने वो इंसेंटिवाइज कितना CFE मोलासेस का वो भी कर दिया थोड़ा सा ऊपर. सो वी आर मैनेजिंग वेरी वेल. इन्वेस्टर सेंटिमेंट, since you asked me a question and I respect you for asking me the question, I'll give you an answer. Other than one operator who has said something, no one, they come to me and I tell them yes, this is what happened. देखिए Department of Food and Civil Supplies are worried about their food availability. Somebody else, but we sit down as a government together and we solve the problem. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir. Prakash, this side. 80 now.
Yes, sir. So OMCs have registered profit in last 3 quarters in a row. In fact, 28,000 crore in last quarter, and they are making profit on sale of petrol and diesel. Don't you think that it's right time?
तो आपकी प्रॉब्लम है ना, आप उनके प्रॉफिट देखते हो और अपना फायदा देखते हो साथ में. अरे उनके शेयर होल्डर्स भी तो हैं यार, वो तो जरूर. देखो ऐसा है, दे आर मेकिंग गुड प्रॉफिट्स बट दे हैव आल्सो मेड लॉसेस. लेट मी एक्सप्लेन टू यू. एंड therefore I always want the medium to long term. अब देखो इन्होंने जहां तक मुझे याद है सब्सिडाइज गैस सप्लाई करने के लिए इनका 28,000 करोड़ का लॉस था जहां पर मेरे को याद है, और हमने आपको 22,000 करोड़ कॉम्पेंसेट किया, हमने मीन्स सरकार की तरफ से. सो देयर दैट वाज नॉट टू लॉन्ग बैक, पिछले फाइनेंशियल ईयर में किया. इनका अंडर रिकवरीज ऑफ पेट्रोल एंड डीजल का कोई 30,000 करोड़ का था. कितना 30? नहीं. Under recoveries were much more. They were 30,000 crores. Uska we took some decision to put some equity in Sarah because instead of doing a direct this thing. So your question is a very valid one, and I'm a little more cautious than you are, saying कि अगर यही रहा जैसे पहले क्वार्टर, सेकंड क्वार्टर, थर्ड क्वार्टर तक रिजल्ट आने वाले होंगे, कब आएंगे? कुछ दिनों में, जनवरी एंड में आएंगे, तो वो आएंगे तो क्वार्टर, उसके बाद they are in a position to take it. But this is not a government directed thing. And by the way, we are in healthy discussion with them every day. But one thing they don't ask me when they get up in the morning, price upar kare, niche kare. You're deregulated on that. But what we do is we are all working in the same system. And again, since this is a year beginning, they have been good corporate citizens. When they were facing under recoveries, they were never passing it on to the consumer. I think they were cushioning it, and that's why the government had to step in. There must have been an expectation there. There was no quid pro. I mean, when they were running losses, they must have asked secretary, मुझसे तो बात ही नहीं करते इन चीज़ों के बारे में, मेरे पास अच्छी चीज़ों के बारे में करते हैं बात. तो secretary must have said कि कर लो, उसके बाद हम कोशिश करेंगे politically आपको आधा दिलवाने के लिए.
Rakesh Sharma from Bloomberg. Yes, please.
Rakesh from Bloomberg. So you said that the imports from Russia fell not because of the payment issues, but just because of the discounts, and it's a healthy market. And there are other suppliers who are also offering discounts. So which are these suppliers and what sort of discounts are they offering?
This is information. When the supplies take place from the other suppliers, you'll find out. And where there is a falling, if there's a payment problem, how can you buy 1.38 million barrels a day? I mean, you are asking a question, and since you are part of that story, let me answer the question directly to you. If there is a payment problem, there should be no supplies coming in. So there is a tendency, because you are playing a global market, and I'm in a good mood today, so I will not say anything about what you guys do elsewhere.
Santosh from Navbharat.
Sir, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, brother.
Sir, अभी राजस्थान गवर्नमेंट ने बोला है कि 450 रुपए में वो सिलेंडर देंगे, और बाकी बीजेपी के जो स्टेट्स हैं, वो स्टेट्स मध्य प्रदेश, छत्तीसगढ़, उन्होंने भी अनाउंस किया.
कर दिया उन्होंने?
मतलब सर इनफॉर्मल तो.
हाँ, इनफॉर्मल. मैंने तो अनाउंसमेंट पढ़ी नहीं, पर कई ऐसी अनाउंसमेंट होती है मैं आपके द्वारा पढ़ता हूँ. देखिए, there are two issues involved in here. Let's simplify this. There is global availability. We are discussing two separate things: cylinder gas and pipe gas. जहाँ तक cylinder gas है, वो refineries में बनती है. Cylinder gas का क्या है? जो दूसरी पाइप गैस है, नेचुरल गैस है, उसकी ग्लोबल अवेलेबिलिटी मेरे हिसाब से तो ग्लोबल सिचुएशन शुड इंप्रूव कंसिडरेबली. कब होगी? 2024 के होगी, 25-24 में भी इंप्रूव होगी. आई कैन सी व्हेन आई मीट माय काउंटर पार्ट्स, व्हेन आई मीट पीपल, आई रीड द प्रेस, वेस्टर्न प्रेस अपार्ट फ्रॉम यू ऑल, हुम आई रीड वेरी सीरियसली. पता लगता है कि जगह जगह नए प्रोडक्शन आ रही है, इन अफ्रीका, इन द गल्फ. Not only in the traditional suppliers, but even in the other suppliers, UAE, etc. Availability बढ़ेगी. Price to the consumer. देखिए, overall जो price to the consumer वो तो आया नीचे 1100 से 903 रुपए कम से आया. जहां तक उज्ज्वला का है, two things which are remarkable, I think you must be. One is the number of beneficiaries under the Ujjwala scheme has crossed 10 crores. I mean, the other day, the Honorable Prime Minister was in Ayodhya, and he gave the 10 croreth connection to Meera Manji ji. So I saw that exchange with great interest. So we have gone to 10 crores, we are going to go beyond, because at 9 crores 60 lakhs, PM had said that we had got a cabinet decision on 75 lakhs more. So that takes us to 10 crores. Yeah. And idea is to get saturation. Agar uske baad bhi hoga, I'm sure that will be considered. Price of gas, let me tell you. I see overall price also hopefully not going up, because सिलेंडर गैस एंड इफ सी व्हाट हैपन, अगर क्रूड का प्राइस ऐसे ही रहा जैसे आज है, आज बढ़कर 76-80 के आसपास है, अगर क्रूड का ये अटैक्स नहीं होता है और मान लो नीचे आता है, then your ability to supply gas also comes down. Please correct my logic if it's not that. On the other hand, if खुदा ना करे there is a major disruption in the supply route, I don't want to name any, major disruption. Now I gave you the statistics. इस route से 12%, 8% of the cargoes that were consumed last year came through that. भाई 12% बहुत होता है, कितना 8 मिलियन बैरल्स अ डे, हमारा तो इंडिया का टोटल कंजम्पशन 5 मिलियन बैरल है, 8 मिलियन बैरल उस रूट से आता है, बाकी जगह से भी आता है. तो कीप योर फिंगर्स क्रॉस्ड. इफ यू आर अ बिलीवर लाइक मी, go to the Gurudwara or the temple, and if the world gets into a position of relative calm, etc., in the fullness of time, in the fitness of things, all these things, 2024 will look good.
So last question from ANI, Vishu, please.
Hi sir, this is Vishu from Lena.
Happy New Year to you, madam.
I wanted to know what is the update on import of Venezuelan oil.
Now, I had anticipated that question. Let me just explain to you, and I'll request Secretary to correct me. We always had an arrangement with Venezuela. The Venezuelan crude is a little heavier type, and some of our refineries were using it. Today, we have more refineries that can use Venezuelan crude, number one. Number two, we had some money owed to us. The problem was not between Venezuela and India. The problem was when that country came under sanctions. Now, as a result of there being, I think, a 6-month gap period, etc., we are in touch with them. I think the overseas arm of the ONGC, OVL, they are in active touch with them. We are hoping to get at least some, I saw some figures, some cargoes, etc. So, overall, I am positive and optimistic.
Sapna Das.
I never answer specifics on which consignment from where in press conference. Partly, I don't even know. The companies know that, but...
So Sapna from CNBC, please.
Hi sir, just one quick one.
थोड़ा माइक मैडम ऊपर, हाँ.
I explained a lot in detail. Just wanted to figure out what's the internal sense of the government now in terms of the overall fallout of the election situation, in terms of
या ऑन नहीं है.
आप आगे आ जाओ.
So you explained to us beautifully what the situation is, but just want to understand what's the internal assessment of the government as far as the economic fallout of the Red Sea disruption is concerned, especially in terms of oil and gas and
Economic fallout of?
Red Sea disruption.
Red Sea.
हाँ. No,
How do you see the oil market or the India position?
देखिए, as far as the outlook for the economy is concerned, I want to separate that from the Red Sea. Number one.
Energy.
Huh?
Energy. Oil.
Do I in terms of body language, or does the finance minister or anyone else who has spoken to you all in detail look concerned? Well, certain concern, yes. Because, you know, when whether it is an Indian ship or not an Indian ship is not the important thing. With any human beings on board, something gets hit by a moving object, whether it's a drone or whatever it is, yes, there is concern. But are we confident of handling it? Absolutely. Absolutely. As I said, in the last few days, in 10, 12 days, and please correct me, as a result of this, suddenly the prices of crude started going up. And then when the full facts came, I think the market has absorbed that. Agar ye pura, you see, there has to be responsible conduct between all the stakeholders. If some actor somewhere decides to become irresponsible, then there will be an impact. But is it an impact on the Indian oil and gas sector? No. I want to give you full confidence. Neither what happened yesterday or day before or earlier. We are absolutely, we'll deal with all these situations. Yes, challenges will come, but we will deal with them. Today, oil prices, I think, are at whatever 77. We will monitor all this, etc. But questions like what will be the impact, as I said in the response to an earlier, God forbid if there is a major disruption in one of the supply routes, that there would be then added concern. But as I said, the market is adjusting to all these emerging realities. It remains for me to thank you all. for coming out in such large numbers. I think we've got off to a good start, but please, you must. There are some.
Sir, one question. Sir, Rishi from Business Line. Sir, for the feedstock for CBG,
For?
For the feedstock for compressed biogas, sir, for ethanol supplier 23-24, we have a target of 15%. Now, when he completed a target for 22-23, but at the end time, the feedstock was a problem. Now we have a 15% target, which is more than the 12% target.
I will give you some statistics. We are going to circulate that. I have no difficulty because we have some major decisions pending with some of our major states where land has been identified, our OMCs have already put in their bid, etc. It's just a question of few steps because we've all been busy with other things. I don't anticipate any problem in the feedstock.
Even because, sir, which always go waters
As I said, I don't anticipate any problem in the feedstock because I'll tell you, we need to do some adjustment. I see ONGC CMD also nodding. Please, as I said, I don't have more time. I'll go into details. This we will adjust it. देखिए आप कभी टारगेट करते हैं 15%, 6 महीने पहले लगता है यार 11% से ऊपर नहीं जा रहा है, प्रॉब्लम आगे. No problem.
Thank you so much. We'll conclude now. We can
And
join
please,
for a cup of tea and snacks.
Some
Thank you so
heavy
much.
tea, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay.
Sawal question. So you talked about rupee payment for UAE crude. So are we exploring the same mechanism for Russia as well?
I'll sit and talk to you because I think I need to have a larger discussion with you. This is not as simple as you think. Sometimes when you're here on a
So first of all, I'm always very happy and enthusiastic when I come to India, and this is my first time to Nagpur, and